The Royal Jingland Hotel, boomerang-shaped and painted gold, presided over the tiny city of Botan like a pair of arms spread wide. Years ago, arriving guests, mostly Chinese, followed a red carpet into its smoky lobby and queued up at a reception desk to the left. After checking in, many quickly made their way to the baccarat tables in the casino. Others were intercepted by the prostitutes who went room to room pitching their services. Out front, electric trams idled near the fountain, waiting to shuttle guests to the city's throbbing dive bars, velvet rope nightclubs, and street vendors selling Chinese aphrodisiacs and pirated DVDs. The 270-room hotel was well known in Botan's gaudy little kingdom of clubs, drugs, casinos, hookers, and crime both petty and organized. Gambling is illegal in China, a nuisance that Botan beat on a technicality by existing just over the border in Laos. But though it was in Laos, Botan was essentially a Chinese city. Chinese nationals enjoyed relaxed visa requirements and constituted virtually the entire labor force. In front of Botan shops, barking vendors with Yunanese accents hawked replica Jimmy Choo pumps. The streets were patrolled not by Laotian police, but by security forces on China's payroll. Even the clocks were set to Beijing time, an hour ahead of Vientiane. The ladyboys, bussed in from Thailand, provided the only heterogeneity. A mere 6 square miles, or a bit smaller than New York's John F. Kennedy Airport, Botan itself was a Chinese import, made possible under the auspices of the Botan Special Economic Zone. The SEZ, established jointly in 2003 between the Chinese government and the Laos Ministry of Planning and Investment, effectively handed Botan to China in its entirety. The Lao villagers who originally lived there were quickly relocated several miles down the road, and a development entity called the Focking Company from Hong Kong acquired a 30-year lease to develop the city. A diplomatic cable from the time indicates that the U.S. State Department suspected this company might be a front organization for Botan's principal investor, Mr. Huang Minqian. A Fujianese businessman with reported links to a similar casino enterprise in Myanmar, Huang spent tens of millions of dollars building the sleazy gambling outpost in the Lao wilderness. One brochure described Botan as a golden place hiding in the luxuriant jungles, just like Peter Pan's city of never falling down, just like mysterious Treasure Island. An ad in a tourism magazine called it the most internationally modernized city in Laos, which wasn't far from the truth, though it was modernized by another country entirely. For several years, Botan's garish amusements attracted thousands of Chinese tourists. But as the decade wore on, the city's patina began to show. Overwhelmed Lao immigration officials started losing their grip on the border as unruly visitors, rightly thinking of Botan as China's personal property, would blow through the checkpoint from Yunnan province with impunity, their SUVs kicking up dust as they sped into Laos uninspected. Gamblers who couldn't make good on their losses began vanishing, and in 2009, officials from China's Hubei province rushed to the border to negotiate the release of a group of Chinese tourists held hostage in the back of one of the casinos. Corpses with gunshot wounds began turning up in alleys, and rumors spread that the hills around Botan were filled with shallow graves. Finally, in 2010, the Chinese Foreign Ministry had to warn tourists to avoid Botan's unsavory venues, terminating the town's only reason for existing. In March the next year, Beijing decided the fun was over and ended the visa exemption for Chinese citizens. It even cut the city's power and cell phone signal. 1 month later, the Royal Jingland Hotel rolled up its red carpet, parked the trams in the weeds behind the building, and slapped a bike lock on its doors. The city's ridiculous rise and collapse became another curious byproduct of China's hyperactive growth. But Botan was never originally meant to be just a gambling town. Botan Golden City was supposed to be exactly what its official designation suggested, a special economic zone that could function as China's gateway into Southeast Asia. The original plans included a trading center, a manufacturing complex, and storage facilities, the infrastructural support for a way station linking neighboring regional economies. Botan collapsed before it could fully cash in on the one thing it had going for it, its border crossing, connecting one of the world's most powerful nations to one of the least.